recipe of this Korean episode. We are going to be making a Korean traditional chicken stew called takdoritang. So come a little closer, let's look at the ingredients. We have some chicken here, some potatoes, carrots, green onions, white onions, and then over here we have some ginger, garlic, soy sauce, sugar, gochujang, gochugaru. We're also going to be using this beef-based flavoring called dashida. Let's get started. So we're gonna start by prepping our vegetables. As you see, I already have my white onion cut up into just these nice chunks. And then I'm gonna do my carrots also into these nice chunks, but I want them to be pretty uniform, so I'm gonna try my best. So moving on, we're gonna do our potatoes. Hopefully this time a little bit more uniform chunks. So our potatoes are now all cut up, so we have these nice veggies. We're gonna save the green onions to cut for later because they are gonna be our garnish. And so now we're going to move on to cutting our chicken. So we want our chicken to be in uniform pieces, and we got a lot of different cuts going on. So I'm just gonna cut up my breasts so they're a little bit smaller. My chicken is also frozen, but it's okay because we're going to be stewing it, so don't worry about that. And let's move on to our flavor. So now we're going to be making our kind of seasoning mix, everything that we want to make this taste good. So we're gonna start with just some sliced ginger. And then this is about 6 cloves of garlic. And then here is about 1/8 of a cup of gochugaru. If you want your stew to be a bit spicier, I'd add more of this, but I like it a bit mild. So we just did a little bit of this just for that flavor. And as well as a little bit more than 1/4 cup of soy sauce. And then here is about 1 tablespoon of sugar. And then here's our gochujang. This is a little bit less than 1/4 cup as well. Finally, we're going to be adding our beef flavoring. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of this. Measure with your heart. And then we're just gonna mix that up. So we're gonna add all of this stuff to a pot now. So we're just going to start with our vegetable medley. Then our chicken. And finally, our wonderful, wonderful seasoning. Into the pot, we're just going to be adding about 2 cups of water. So now we're gonna put this on medium-high heat and cover, and we'll check on it in about 20 minutes. So this is about 20 minutes later. Here's what it's looking like. We stir, and we're just gonna keep this on maybe medium heat until our potatoes are thoroughly cooked, our carrots are, and most importantly, our chicken is cooked all the way through. So we'll see you when it's finished. Okay, so for our second recipe of this video, we're going to be doing japchae, which is kind of a glass noodle dish. So right here we have the noodles, and these are made out of potato starch actually. And then these are already cooked, and I put them in sesame oil. I just want to say that make sure your noodles are really thoroughly drained out so that they have the best taste and it's not too watery. And then there's going to be some thinly sliced carrots. This is about 3.5 cups of spinach here, but it will cook down as we cook it, so don't worry. Then we're gonna have our odeng, which is fish cake. And if you don't want to use fish cake, you can also substitute this for thinly sliced beef. And then some white onion. This is about 1/3 of the onion. And then we have some green onion. This is 2 eggs here, soy sauce, sugar, sesame oil, sesame seeds, and then a little bit of fish sauce at the end. So let's get cooking. So I'm gonna start by sauteing everything here. Well, not everything, but the carrots, the spinach, the odeng, and the onions, but I'm going to be sauteing this all separately because they each have their own cooking time, and so they each have their own flavors, and I want to preserve them until we mix everything together at the end. For the eggs, we have the pan on medium-high heat, and we also have a lot of oil in here because we don't want it to stick to the bottom. So I have 2 eggs that have already been beaten in this little bowl. I'm just going to put this and then just spread it around. And we're just going to let that sit until it gets totally cooked on the bottom. So we flipped it, and we're just going to let that sit until the bottom part's done. So that egg that we just cooked, we thinly sliced, so it's in these little strips. And here is our whole entire plate of toppings, I guess, all cooked up. So now we're gonna mix everything together. So we have our noodles, put it into this bowl. And then before I add any mix-ins, I'm just gonna cut these up with some just kitchen scissors because these noodles were a bit long. So just make it a little bit easier to eat. And then we're just gonna add all of these toppings in. And now we're gonna add in some sugar, soy sauce, and then we have a little bit of sesame oil, just for a little bit more flavor. A little bit of this fish sauce. And I'm gonna mix with my hand. And then plate it up, and there you go. That's your finished japchae.